we are talking about why great leaders plan not just for success, but for discomfort. Here I have a subtitle that says Great Leaders Don't Avoid Struggle, They Prepare for It. Everybody comment below. Get in position. Get in position to start the conversation. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched somebody lead with confidence in a high pressure situation and thought to yourself, man, they must not struggle the way that I do when I find myself in situations like that? And what I have found is that is one of the biggest myths to leadership. To assume that great leaders don't face doubt, great leaders don't feel uncomfortable in high pressure moments, because the truth of the matter is, yes, you look at any iconic leader, any impactful leader, any great leader that has inspired you, they experience discomfort. They face pressure like every single one of us. So the question is, what's the difference? Like, what separates those individuals that fold under pressure in comparison to those that seem to thrive in it? And as I've studied leaders and worked with leaders and coached leaders, I've come to find out that the difference isn't necessarily talent. It's not intelligence. It's not even confidence, family. But the difference is preparation. Comment below, preparation. Preparation. To be prepared for a moment of discomfort. In fact, great leaders make decisions on how they're going to respond to challenges before those challenges even arrive. Today, we're going to unpack a simple but powerful strategy that shifts you from reacting emotionally in difficult moments to responding with intention. And when we learn to respond with intention, when we apply this strategy that we're going to discuss, family, you're going to notice a dramatic difference in how you begin to handle discomfort and how grounded and more capable you are when discomfort begins to show up. So, if you guys are ready to have this conversation, join in with your boy. First and foremost, I want to highlight this study that I recently came across that really paints the picture to this particular strategy. It was a study that was done where researchers worked with a group of elderly patients, and these individuals were recovering from knee and hip replacement surgeries. And for anybody that's ever experienced that, or somebody that you know that's experienced this, these types of surgeries are some of the most painful and demanding recovering processes. It takes a toll on an individual. So when you looked at the study, everyone received the same medical instructions. Everyone had the same physical limitations, but one group within the study was given one specific instruction. It was something extra in comparison to the other group. They were given a blank sheet of paper, a journal that they can use and utilize to write out exactly how they would handle every step of their recovery. As I have written here in my notes, they would write down where they were going to walk, when they would move, what they would wear, what they would do when pain peaked. They even wrote out how to respond when the urge to quit would show up. 3 months later, after the study began, the difference was undeniable, family. The patients who wrote out specifically what they were going to do and came up with detailed plans, they walked almost 2 times faster. They got in and out of their chairs nearly 3 times faster, and they regained their independence significantly sooner. But the question is, why did they experience this massive amount of progress in comparison to the other groups within the study? And it's because they weren't just hoping that they'd push through the pain. They had already decided how they would respond to pain when it showed up. And as I read this study, I'm like, yo, there's a lesson that's within this. And what I've discovered, family, is that great and empowered leaders don't just rely solely on willpower. It's more than just willpower. They break down challenges into steps. They anticipate inflection points like moments where it's going to be extremely discomforting, uncomfortable situations, and they pre prepare their response. In other words, they're putting themselves in the best possible position to be able to navigate discomfort, adversity, and moments of struggle effectively and productively. They simply don't ask, can I handle this? No. They ask themselves, what's my plan when discomfort begins to arrive? In essence, family, they're leading with a solution oriented mentality, right? Everybody comment below solution oriented. That should be our focus as we approach this week's opportunities. As an impactful leader, as a great leader that we're all aspiring to become, we should be leading with the intention of creating solutions to the problems that we're going to face before these problems begin to arise. Now, here's what I want us to understand. What I'm really getting at is that awareness plus preparation is going to dominate motivation on any given day. Yeah, there's going to be moments when you feel motivated and then you do conquer a struggle, you do overcome a difficulty, but those moments are going to be short-lived. But if we can plan strategically by building awareness around what's going to be uncomfortable, what's going to be difficult for us, what challenges potentially can arise, and then we come up with, like many people, right? They say public speaking is one of the most feared tasks that individuals can sign up for. And I was susceptible to that particular fear. And I can remember before I would hit the stage, I'd get hit with this huge amount of anxiety and nervousness, almost to the point that it was crippling, right? Like my mind was all over the place. I would lose train of thought. I couldn't think clearly, so to speak, all because I was stepping into a moment of discomfort. Yeah, I was passionate about the work that I'm doing, but I still felt this sense of nervousness and anxiety every time I did it. So, with me knowing that when I step into this particular space, whether I'm talking to 10 people or 1,000 people and nervousness and anxiety begins to arise, I've got to come up with a game plan. Fast forward to today, before I hit the stage, I'm doing deep breathing exercises. I'm moving my body on a consistent basis to get rid of that anxious energy, so to speak. I'm grounding myself by reminding myself on the purpose, on why I'm there, so I can be effective at the assignment of this particular engagement. And I'm reminding myself of the transformation that can take place with those that are under the sound of my voice as I'm sharing stories and sharing insights and concepts and strategies that can help them level up as a leader. So, in essence, I prepare myself for this moment of discomfort that I knew was going to come. Came up with a game plan, put a strategy in place so that when this discomfort began to arise, I wasn't thrown off guard. I'm ready to combat this with a strategy so that we can move forward. Family, here's what I need us to understand. Okay, I see the comments coming up. I'll get to them here in a moment. But here's what I really want us to understand, family. When you approach adversity with intention, when you approach adversity without intention, discomfort dictates your decisions. I think that's worth repeating. When you approach adversity without intention, discomfort dictates your direction. It dictates your decisions. But when you approach challenges with strategy, discomfort becomes information, not a stop sign. Information that you can begin to utilize, information that you can begin to leverage to help you build momentum towards where you're aiming to go. The more intentional that we become when it comes to handling uncomfortable moments, the more trust we're going to build within ourselves, the more confident we're going to become, and we're going to stop reacting to situations and instead we'll start responding. We'll stop avoiding uncomfortable situations and instead we'll start advancing in the things that are meaningful and purposeful in our lives. Over time, what will happen as you create a strategy to handle moments of discomfort, you're going to start noticing how you're astonishing yourself at what you're capable of accomplishing. You're going to navigate, endure, and handle situations more effectively. In fact, you're going to start accomplishing the things that you once told yourself you could never do, all because you classified this act as being something that was uncomfortable. But by you preparing yourself for that discomfort, you're rising above that limiting belief and you're coming up with a strategy that helps you redefine what's possible for you and your life. As we approach this week's opportunities, here's our goal. We want to lead with intention. Prepare for the discomfort. Here's the call to action. I want you to reflect in this moment before you even get to your day, right? Think about a moment of discomfort that will arise later this week as you're working towards your goals. Think about a struggle or a challenge that you know will occur as you're taking steps towards where you're aiming to be, and come up with a strategy. The moment that this happens, whatever that discomfort is, maybe you get anxious, maybe you become fearful, maybe you become discouraged, maybe you get disappointed, maybe you feel defeated or hopeless, whatever the case may be, the moment that this arises, this is going to be my plan of action. This is going to be my strategy. It's like preparing for a fight. Any competitive boxer is not going to step into the ring without understanding who they're up against, right? Anybody that's aiming to win a battle, they're going to study their enemy. So therefore, they can utilize their strengths and leverage their strengths in a way that combats that individual's weaknesses so that they can get the victory and rise above whatever they got to face to keep moving forward. What I'm saying is this, family. When you become more intentional, when you come up with a strategy and you execute on that strategy, those moments of discomfort no longer dictate the direction of your life. For many of us, you've allowed discomfort again to dictate your decisions. And your decisions are what shapes your environment and the reality that you find yourself in today and the remainder of this week. Let's be intentional. Let's show up with more strategy, with more intention, so that we can approach moments of discomfort and not react to them, but instead respond so that we can collectively move forward. If you slid into this broadcast and I was unable to give you a shout out, be sure to comment below. And if in fact this is your first time, or maybe it's your first time in a long time, I welcome you and I want to shout you out as well. Put a number 1 in the chat and then place your first name afterward. Again, place the number 1 in the chat and then put your first name afterward. Sam is in the building. My brother, hope all is well with you. I saw Jashawn at the gym last week. Told him to send some love your way to you and the fam. Again, hope all is well. From Indy via Lafayette for sure. I hear you representing. Don is in the building. Great day to you. Glad to have you tapped in live. Appreciate you, Sam. Hashtag purpose, Mia. Absolutely. Family, if you benefited from today's discussion, if you were picking up what your boy D1 was putting down, put a number 1 in the chat or put some fist up in the comments below. Yeah, our decisions shape our reality. That's real, Mia. That's why we have to be more intentional about our daily decisions and the choices that we make. Duran is in the building. Salute to you, King. Hope all is well with you. Stephen Drake is in the broadcast. Great day to you. I love the thunder. I hear you, man. But you know it's always Indy here. Pacer Nation. You know what it is. I'm still recovering from the NBA Finals, Stephen Drake. Because we're always living with the what if. If Halliburton didn't go down, you know for a fact he was about to come out and cook. But nothing but love, family. We'll be back to it. We'll see you guys in the near future in the big dance. Again, there we go. I see the fist coming up. Excellent, excellent. Family, again, if you did find value, please share this out with the people that you personally care about. Share it out on Facebook, X, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. We'll truly appreciate that. Now, as we conclude and wrap things up, if we have yet to connect on other platforms, what are we waiting for? Connect with your boy. I'm at D, the number 1 Gibson, pretty much on all platforms, including Instagram as well as Facebook. You all have heard me reference my YouTube channel. You can subscribe to my channel to take advantage of all of my long-form content, including short films and my documentary series that I produce. I put that exclusively on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/David Gibson. I'm also on LinkedIn. Connect with me on that platform. And individuals frequently ask how they can contribute monetarily to our mission to help us lead this purpose effectively, to financially contribute. Connect with me on a Cash App. That's at $D, the number 1 Gibson. Again, $D, the number 1 Gibson. We truly appreciate your support. And for more information on my speaking and coaching services, Connect with me on my website. That's at elevationisAmust.com. Again, elevationisAmust.com. If you guys have yet to subscribe to my weekly newsletter, be sure to tap in there as well. That's at elevationisAmust.com. I've got a growth newsletter that I send out every single Sunday talking about leadership principles and strategies that help you develop an empowered and growth mindset and lead your week effectively. So be sure to tap in there. With all of that being said, let's wrap this thing up, family, because you got dreams to catch and success to create. So we each got to get busy being great. But before we do conclude and wrap this thing up, if you find yourself in a very difficult situation or challenging experience, I need you to remember that this too shall pass. It's only a temporary moment. So don't make a permanent decision that's based upon a temporary feeling, a temporary circumstance, or a moment that is going to pass. And you're saying, well, D1 is easier said than done. I understand that. But don't allow your emotions to overpower your intelligence. Don't allow what you feel to dictate your next move. Stick to the goal, not your mood. That's our focus this week. In many cases, it's not about how you feel. It's more about what you desire and what you want. It's more about who you truly are. And for somebody in this broadcast, maybe your situation or your circumstance is trying to convince you that you're less than, that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that you're defeated, that you're hopeless, that you're a mistake, that it's not capable of being better, that you're incapable of succeeding at whatever you're building in your life. I need you to understand that voice in your head that's trying to convince you that you can't do it is a liar. And I want you to prove that voice wrong. I want you to step into this week with intention. You know that voice is going to arise. That strategy that we just discussed, put it into play. When this voice begins to kick in, this is my response. I'm not going to react to this anymore, because reacting is not really dictating your direction, not your decisions, right? Reacting is ultimately you just conforming to how you feel. No, we're going to be more intentional, and we're going to respond strategically. We're going to respond intentionally. When this arises, I'm going to stay true to who I am. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep persisting until I succeed. They told me, no, I'm not going to get discouraged this time. I'm not going to be defeated. I'm going to stay determined. I'm going to keep knocking until I get my yes. I'm not accepting no when I'm searching for a yes. When the door shuts in my face, I'm going to tear the wall down because I know what's on the other side has my name engraved on it. That's the mindset that we got to have, family. That's what I talk about when I'm saying be intentional. And don't allow what you feel to dictate your next move. What you see in your mind, I want that to shape your life. The vision inside of you is always going to shape the world around you. So I need you to remind yourself of what's possible. Remind yourself of who you are. Remind yourself of what you're capable of. Remind yourself of what you're aiming to experience, and allow that vision to lead you to greater levels of experiences in life. I'm going to wrap this thing up before we start another train, family. If nobody else tells you that they love you today, remember your brother from another mother, D1 Gibson, has nothing but love for each and every single one of you. With all of that being said, you guys feel inspired. You feel empowered. Spread the word. Shine your light. Continue to encourage the next man or the next woman. Be an ambassador of positivity and an advocate for love, because that's what the world needs. It desperately needs it. When we look around us, you look on social media, you look on mass media, there's so much negativity and division, but we have to be the ones that are the catalysts for positive changes. We got to be the ones that initiate the process to spread love to our brothers, our sisters, even those that we don't agree with. We got to be the ones to lead with intention, to lead with love, to shine our light in a world that desperately needs it. I've said so much during today's broadcast, and I'm hoping that somebody somewhere found some value. I appreciate you all for tuning in. We shall be back at it next week. That's Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in the meantime, I want you to be effective, be successful, live with some passion today, and most importantly, be powerful. I'm your brother from another mother, D1 Gibson, a.k.a. David Gibson, checking out. Have a phenomenal Monday and an extraordinary week. Peace.